Hey boo! Welcome to my channel where we talk all things lifestyle, travel, wellness, mental health, and holistic healing. I am Kamariaexcell, and today I want to talk about that time of the month. I feel like although we're living in a world now where it's not as stigmatizing to talk about your period and your experience with your cycle, there's still not enough conversations about it. So I want to share today the wellness routine that I use that has significantly reduced my period pain, from cramps to heavy bleeding to really intense headaches. And I'm excited to kind of just share what that journey has looked like for me. If you're interested in just a routine and you're like, girl, I don't hear your personal story, no worries, go ahead and skip ahead and I'll walk you step by step through that routine. But if you want to stick around for a couple moments, I'm not going to take up too much of your time and just have a little bit of a chit chat. That's what we're going to do right now. Yeah, I started my period actually very young. I was 9. Initially, between ages 9 to 11, my period pain wasn't too bad. I've always been a heavy bleeder. I remember after my first cycle, my mom was like, yeah, we're going to have to start giving you overnight pads and you're going to have to wear those during the day because the bleeding just used to be super, super intense. So that's been consistent my entire life of having a period. To 11, I was a competitive dancer, and so I just know now from like other athletes and hearing them talk about their cycles that like when they were immersed in their sports, their periods were not like regular or consistent by any means. 9 to 11, I probably had periods every 2 to 3 months. 11 going into 12, I was still dancing, but not as competitively, and so by nature of that, like not as frequently. And that is when I started experiencing an extreme uptick of like really, really bad intense symptoms. That ranged from heavy bleeding to super, super, super bad migraines, bad stomach cramps, lower back cramps, diarrhea, intense vomiting, so much to the point that like my mom just started being like, you know what, on the first day of your period, you're not going to school because she would drop me off, I would get my period, and at this point it was still irregular, so I never really knew when I was going to start it. And so she was like, no, like let's start, noticing a little bit more of your symptoms ahead of time so we know like ideally when your period might come. So at that point, once I kind of maybe start noticing like, oh, I get really, really intense headaches a couple days before my period, or oh, like the morning of my period, I wake up and I might like have really, really loose bowels. My mom was very proactive about taking me to the doctor and asking questions. Now, of course, I know everything that I know about Black women always being dismissed in health spaces, but essentially all the doctors were telling my mom, oh, it's a period, it's like not supposed to feel good, so all the things that she's feeling is normal. And my mom would always be like, no, it's not, like she should not be bleeding this much, she should not have all these horrible symptoms to where she can't even go to school. My junior year of high school, I learned about what PCOS is, not at school, but I had been doing like research about my symptoms and found that like it could either be PCOS or endometriosis. Took that to the doctor. Of course, they were like, nope, no, it's not. Didn't even check me, didn't do an ultrasound, told, they didn't say this directly, but basically made it seem like my mom and I were being very dramatic about the symptoms. And so finally I was like, okay, whatever, I guess this is like what it is. Mid-junior year of high school, my mom remembered an herb that she used to take anytime she was in pain, which is an herb called valerian root. If you don't take anything else from this video, take away getting yourself some valerian root. Like, I will tell you, it smells really, really bad. My mom used to get like fresh loose leaves of it, which smells literally like poop. It smells really, really bad. She used to leave it out on the back porch in a tied bag so that the smell wouldn't seep through. So really strong smell if you get it fresh. If you get it in tincture form, it still smells pretty bad, but it will not smell up the whole entire house. So valerian root has significantly reduced like my period pain. And cinnamon is also really good for period pain, and so she used to make me a blend of like valerian, cinnamon, raspberry leaves. So I really got on my herbal tip thanks to my mom, and that really helped to kind of reduce and manage some symptoms. And then I want to say my senior year of high school, my mom discovered Yoni steaming and was like, okay, apparently this really, really helps bad period pain. And I am so grateful that she did that due diligence of researching for me and advocating for me, because Yoni steaming has been amazing, not just for like reducing my period pain, but also just helping me feel really align. Of course, with any of the things that I'm suggesting, you want to check with your own health team to make sure that feels in alignment with your symptoms and who you are. But in general, the things that I'm offering are very natural remedies that people have been using for centuries and centuries that sometimes the medical model feels a certain type of way about. So, but I feel like it's important information for everybody to know and for us to be sharing across the board. So even if you have your own herbal remedies or things that help you during your cycle, drop it in the comments. Like, let's spread the love, let's spread the resources. My senior year of high school, I ended up starting the birth control pill, which I didn't have extremely bad effects on the pill. I just felt like I'm already an emotional person, and I felt like the birth control gave me a lot of extra hormones, and I was constantly, fluctuating. So, but I did stay on the pill for about 3 years. After that, I took like a break off of the birth control. Also went vegan to try and help manage symptoms. Had a good experience being vegan. I'll say for me, it did not drastically change my hormonal acne. I still had that really, really badly. It's gotten a lot better. And then when I moved to Chicago 2 years ago, I got an amazing OB, Black woman OB. Her name is Dr. Cordia White. If you're on the hunt for a new gynecologist, she is in the South Loop. But her office kind of borders Chinatown, so I'm not really sure. I think that's still technically the South Loop. My first appointment with her, she was like, oh yeah, like, do you have any concerns? Like, how are you feeling in your body? This is for like, your yearly checkup. And I was like, oh, well, kind of always had intense period pain and symptoms. And I was telling her about my acne, and she was like, oh, well, let me like see under your chin, because I was at this time, this area was still pretty intense. And so she was like, oh, you also have lots of like hair follicles here. And I was like, yes. And she was like, do you have PCOS? And I was like, no doctor has ever taken me seriously with that. I think I do. And she was like, oh yeah. She was like, the symptoms that you're running down for me looking at your skin, I'm pretty sure it's PCOS, but like, let's do it the official way. Like, let's get you to an ultrasound technician to kind of check everything out. I ended up doing that. I, confirmed that I had PCOS, which was also really frustrating because that has been something I had been saying for so long. Once I got that back, she confirmed that I do have cysts on my ovaries. They are benign, so they're not cancerous, but like, and she went through like my hormone levels and all kinds of things like that, which was super helpful. But it just felt really freeing to kind of have the official diagnosis and know how to kind of move around it. So all of the herbal things that I have talked to her about, she was like, yes, those are great alternatives, great remedies. Also a medication that you can go on for PCOS. I can't remember the name in this moment. I personally was not interested in that at that point in time. Did get on a ring called Aloe Vera. It's a ring that you insert vaginally that you have in for the entire year. You only take it out when you want your period. Me personally, like, just to keep up with my body cycle, I want a period every month. And so what I do, and you'll see this in the routine, is I take it out the Sunday of the month that I choose, and then the following Sunday you would reinsert the ring. That has a super, super low dose of estrogen. It's like, I think 0.25. And that feels really nice for me because I still feel like myself. I still feel like I'm in my body. I do also think there was like some like weight gain on the pill, but also like, that's just like, you gain weight, you lose it. It's sometimes a continuum. So I wasn't, too much stressed about that. But I love the aloe vera ring. It feels good for me. It feels good for my body. But everyone's different. Some people, absolutely don't want birth control, which I also respect. I think you just have to pick what feels good for you. Those are kind of like my super quick rundown history of my relationship to my cycle. Where I'm at these days is, next to no period cramps. Like, if I do have some period cramping, I'll notice it's because of what I ate a few days before my period. So what I do now is I try and eat as clean and as green as possible a few days leading up to my period, as well as the first like the first 2 days of my period. Now that doesn't mean I'm totally restricting myself. Like, I still, we'll have a sweet treat, we'll have a salty treat. That's just life. I don't want to completely take out the things that I love, but I just try and be more cautious of them leading up to my period. I'll also up my herbal game. So one of the products I use is from Elix Health. They are a Chinese medicine brand that is just absolutely amazing. You'll see me use them in the video. So yeah, up the herbal remedies, up the clean eating, what else? A couple days leading up, I'll also integrate my full spectrum CBD into the mix so that my body just overall feels a lot more relaxed, a lot lighter. I'm grateful from where I'm at. There used to be a point in time where my period would bring up so many heavy emotions for me because I knew I was going to be in pain. I knew I was going to be sick. Some months I remember I was in college, like my senior year, I was super stressed out, and there was one month where I literally had 2 periods, and that just felt like absolutely ridiculous. One of the things that I also I don't really think I'll have enough time in this video to go over it, but if you're interested in cycle syncing, let me know, because cycle syncing is something that I've been doing for the past like year and a half that I truly really enjoy, because it makes you more intentional about when you're doing what at the time of the month. Like, not even just for your period, but like syncing your cycle system to your life, syncing it to the moon, and that helps you know what parts of the month you should be more productive or less productive, what parts of the month should you be doing really intense workouts versus other times where you should be more calm and doing more restorative yoga flow. So if you've been looking at cycle syncing, let me know, because I'd be happy to share my insights in a video with you. Like I said, share in the comments your routines, your rituals that you do around your cycle. I would love to know. I would love for others to chime in, and so that we can, continue to push back on the stigma of periods and menstrual health, right? Like, it's a natural course for people that have vaginas, and so we should be able to talk about it openly and freely without feeling, shame or fear. That's my spiel, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And now we'll get on to the routine. Like I mentioned in the first part of the video, I am already an avid herbal tea drinker, but during my cycle, we got up my game using Elix Health, which is a functional Chinese medicine brand that's customized to your unique needs. Major herbs in my personal blend include licorice, motherwort, ginger, skullcap, safflower, and Szechuan lovage, in addition to a bunch of others. Remember, herbs are most effective when you give them time to adjust to your system. Alrighty, now that my tea is steeping for a little bit, I slip into a muumuu's bed and get my essential oils ready. I pop out my aloe vera ring. If you have a birth control ring in, you don't want to steam with that because it can mess with the effectiveness. I also light some candles, really just setting a relaxing vibe for myself. After I'm done with that, I go ahead and start to get my Yoni steaming herbs all together. Just a quick tip, you want to be cautious of what you put your herbs in, so either use glass or something like porcelain. You want to make sure that you're not using plastic, because the toxins will, be released into your hoo-ha, and you absolutely do not want that. In terms of steaming, for me, I like to steam for about 40 minutes. If you're new to steaming though, I would suggest you fall more around the 20-minute range just until your body gets used to it. I always set an intention for my steam, and I suggest you do the same. While I'm sitting on the steamer, I'm either doing some gentle face massaging or neck rolls or gentle movement, in addition to breathing deeply, drinking my tea. You can also journal, whatever, makes you feel good, makes you feel aligned. Today, I decided to do a combination of gentle movement and also reading. Once my timer goes off, I like to soak in the tub using some lavender, some Epsom salt, and then I go ahead and take the herbs that I just soaked in and pour them into the water through a strainer. After I've soaked in the tub for, knowing me, honestly, probably like an hour 30, I take really long baths. It's time to do some skincare. I try and focus on masks that are gonna give me some hydration back into my skin, because I notice around my period, it's either my skin is super oily or super dry. And this time it was feeling a little bit dry, so I went with this hydrating mask, and I just allowed this to sit on my skin for probably about 20 to 30 minutes. I know you're only supposed to do 10, but for me, I like to set it in a little longer. As I mentioned in the earlier part of the video, my skin has come such a long way, and so I'm really proud of where it's at right now, even with the work that I have to do ahead. I find that the week of my period, I just overall have more somber or lower energy, and so what I like to do before it comes on is to prep some emails for the week so that I can lower my stress during the work week, where I'm not frantic and I'm not putting extra stress or pressure on my body. After that's done, I like to do something enjoyable like reading or watching TV, but lately I have been obsessed with Kennedy Ryan books. So if you want a video on that, let me know, because I'm trying to find the romance girlies, and Kennedy Ryan just really does it for me. Now it is time for dinner, and like I said earlier, I try to be really intentional about what I'm eating leading up to my period and the first couple of days of it. So this is the beefless grounds from Trader Joe's. I had never had this brand of vegan meat before, and it was absolutely delicious. I like to season it with just a regular, taco seasoning pack, some salsa in the mix, some cut up onions, and mix it all together. One thing about me as an LA native, I am always gonna be in the mood for a taco. Like, I don't care what time of day it is, give me tacos. So I eat a lot of Mexican food on my period, as well as a lot of Asian cuisine, specifically pho and ramen, because it's so cozy and so good. Child, I really could not tell if the salsa was good or not. I ended up still putting it on the tacos. It just kind of smelled weird for a moment, but I'm pretty sure it was good. I'm still here, so it must have been fine. Add a little avocado, add your lettuce, of course, cilantro, squeeze some lemon juice. Now it's time to sit back and enjoy the fruits of my labor, and it came out absolutely amazing. I forgot to record me making this watermelon drink, but it's just watermelon, lime, and lemon juice. So refreshing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm wishing you much tenderness on your next cycle. Love you. Bye.